Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephen Clark. Sorry for the late video. I talked to Professor Hood. I was going through a lot this weekend. My grandmother passed away. We had the funeral and everything. I appreciate all the condolences right now. Just saying that before I know you guys put it in the comments. Sorry about the mask. I'm around people right now, so trying to practice safety at the same time. So sorry if I sound muffled or anything like that. I'm just trying to, keep myself safe as well. Tonight I'll be discussing chapter 4, Truth That Tell a Lie, about race, social class, and the American dream in sports and film. I'll start off by saying, what is the American dream? The American dream is something glorified by underprivileged. It's a sense of hope and a reason to keep going in whatever you're doing. I feel like this is true. A lot of people have the American dream or just dreams. We all come from, places we all come from different places, and I know for a fact I grew up in Miami in a lower class family where we had the dream, and all we had were our dreams. My dream was to go to the NFL, play professional football. That didn't work, so I have another dream of becoming a business owner, and that's why I'm here in the graduate school. We're doing a liberal arts program. I know some of you guys have aspirations and dreams, and that's why you're here as well. James Truslow Adams describes the American dreams as a richer and fuller life for every man, without opportunity for each according to ability or achievement, often proved to be less than fully achievable for many, often by those from humble or deprived circumstances. Like I said, where I'm from, came from a lower class family. We did have those deprived circumstances, and the American dream isn't really attainable for people like us, people that come from backgrounds like us. It's typically um, able to it's typically able to be reached by people of a better background, middle to higher class families. Um, we all have that American dream of wanting to become something with our lives, but like you'll hear me speak about in my presentation today, that's not always easy to get to. First things first, and I'll talk about how in cinema back in the day, the first black people showed in movies and on films were people like Jack Johnson, a boxer, and Muhammad Ali, also a boxer. And this gave African Americans hope that we can achieve the American dream. It gave us hopes that we can, be better than what we were confined to. We were confined to Jim Crow laws and segregation and treated like nothing. And seeing those guys on TV, I say, gave us hope and gave us more dignity about ourselves, saying that if they can do it, we can do it. But that's over portrayed today in film and cinema and anything. The black person that's playing a sport to make it out of underprivileged situation. You have, even in mainstream media, they, I guess, push the black athlete, LeBron James, single mom, from the hood in Akron, Ohio. They push him all the way to make sure he's at the top, so little kids can see they can make it out. Jimmy Butler from an adopted family, Michael Orr adopted family, and so on and so forth, all come from poor backgrounds, and they had sports to make them get that American dream. I feel like this plays key still today in project housing complexes or government assistance homes. If you go around and ask young African American kids what they want to be when they grow up, you'll hear the same, I guess, two answers. You'll hear rapper or something to do with athletics. That's because we aren't pushing the agenda for them to become doctors, lawyers, anything, dentists. We're pushing for them to become an athlete, a sports person, and that's not fair to those kids because in the world, as of 2011, there were 31,000 black physicians and surgeons, 33,000 lawyers, and only 1,400 black athletes. And those numbers, 31,000 physicians and surgeons were black, and 33,000 lawyers were black, but only 1,400 black professional athletes. So as you see, we have a higher number of surgeons and doctors and lawyers than we do black athletes, but we push the agenda for black athletes. And I feel like this is so we can get those African Americans, like I feel like that's so society could get those African Americans back to where they belong, quote, back to where they belong, and that's inside the hood. Many college athletes or many students during high school, they drop out. Like they can want to pursue a pro career, but they drop out at the end of their high school careers because they see they don't have the grades to make it to the college they want to. They see they have to go JUCO and have to pay out of pocket, and their family don't have it, so they just give up on their dreams completely because they don't feel like they can become a doctor or a lawyer. Or a person that's in college may stop going due to injury, or they may feel like they don't have what it takes to get to the next level, and now you have those same people back inside their neighborhoods, inside the hood, either doing a 9 to 5 job, like not to bash on them, but McDonald's or something, or doing something like selling drugs when they could have been something better with themselves if they would have followed another dream and not followed that dream that society and mainstream media is pushing on them so much. At the what's called when people like Jack Johnson and in cinema, Sturble in 2008, he says that white Americans view films with black athletes as the stars. They fear those films because he said that white Americans saw this as black America starting to change, revolt, and see themselves as more than what they were. They saw them as wanting to rise up from that oppression and stuff. And this to me reminded me of police brutality. A lot of the times in police brutality cases, you have people in handcuffs, people chained down, people on the ground, not resisting at all. But they'll make a little sudden movement or a flinch, and the police will say stop resisting and either shoot them and kill them or beat them up real bad, although they're handcuffed down and can't do anything to defend themselves. I feel like those same shackles and chains and handcuffs were Jim Crow laws and segregation. They kept black people down, and those movies and those films with black athletes as stars were them resisting what they were going through at the moment. And we couldn't do anything to get ourselves out of them situations because we were the oppressed and we feared for our lives already. You see examples of Emmett Till whistled at a white woman that was beaten up really bad and hung, and he passed away because of that. So you have African Americans fearing that already, but you have white America fearing that black Americans is going to come back and stand up for themselves at some point. And I just didn't understand the fear part. Why should you guys be afraid of us? Regardless of race, class, gender, the American dream is still something that motivates everyone. Though it's something that's not realistically attainable for everyone. For example, I may be poverty stricken, but the American dream says if I work hard, invest in my education, get a good job, then later on in life I can have the white picket fence, big house, the dog, and nice cars. Even though due to my race and gender, I'm less likely to actually obtain these things, or I'm at a disadvantage. The American dream gives me something to be hopeful for and look forward to, even though it's all a fallacy for most, but for many, it's the only thing that gives them a sense of purpose because they think they will reap the benefits of all their hard work. A movie that reminds me of, this whole, I guess, the American dream thing and not being able to obtain it no matter how hard you work is Fences. It's about a poor family, poor to, I guess, lower class family who the dad was a professional baseball player, but was hit with a straight fastball, and his career was cut short. During this time, he was great at what he did in the minor leagues, but because of his race, he wasn't able to go to the major leagues. So then he became a working class citizen, and he worked and worked and worked really hard to become the top of his garbage collecting job. And again, he wanted to become a driver, but they wouldn't let him because of his race. So in this situation, you have a dad who's working really hard. Like people say, work hard, you will achieve the American dream. You have this dad who's working really hard to achieve that American dream, and both times his race held him back. And also in this movie, you have a son who wants to be a football player, but his dad sees how the world is going to chew you up and spit you out because of who you are, because of your color and stuff. And his dad is telling him, no, don't do that. So the son is forced to, not forced to, but he goes to the army and does something else with his life, aside from chasing his dream, because of the situation he comes from. I say many films use sports to achieve a goal, whether it's the American dream or a friendship or overcoming an obstacle. Sports films are always the way to go in mainstream media. There's another aspect of the American dream that isn't really talked about, but it's like it needs to be talked about, and that's the inherited American dream. The movie I said that reminded me of that is Creed. He's a troubled young boy who gets in a bunch of trouble, and the wife of his deceased dad comes and adopts him. And he works hard. He fights his butt off in Mexico. He gets his car taken in a fight. He gets beat up then. And he's doing everything to achieve his dream of becoming a professional boxer, but the only way he was even looked at on that level as a big time boxer was when he inherited his dad's name, the Creed name. I don't feel like he genuinely, yes, he worked hard, but he didn't genuinely earn that spotlight if it wasn't for his dad's name. And that's the truth for a bunch of people. You have Bronny James, son of LeBron James, Sharif O'Neal, son of Shaquille O'Neal. You have Hardaway's son, Tim Hardaway Jr., who is the son of Penny Hardaway. And it's like those guys automatically have this, I guess, shoe-in to the sport they want to play. Even Ken Griffey Jr., they have a shoe-in to the sport they want to play or the things they want to do because they have that last name. They inherit that last name. They inherit that money. So you have they have the shoes that they want to play in. They have the clothes. They don't have to go work a 9-to-5 job to help their families, pay rent and stuff. They have everything handed to them, so they can work hard on that American dream. And plus, that last name that they inherit automatically gets them, above the rest of people. If an African American do achieve a dream in a film and it's not inherited, I feel like it's facilitated by white Americans. And we talked about this in the reading too, and they talked about Blind Side and Jackie Robinson. In the Blind Side, you have Michael Orr, who's a poor kid, one of 12 children from his mother. He didn't have a proper place to sleep. He wore the same clothes on a daily basis, and he ate scraps when he could. He moved in with the Toohey family, and they gave him a bed, they clothed him, they bought him a truck, they did everything they could, and not to get, I wouldn't say to get that return of him going to Ole Miss and playing football, but he did eventually become a star football player and make it to the NFL. And their white privilege, I guess, gave him opportunities that he wouldn't have had while he was, with his mom in the projects and stuff. Like, they tweaked his grades at school a little bit. Only one teacher didn't want to tweak his grades, but they tweaked his grades. If his African-American mother would have went into that school and said, hey, tweak my son's grades so he can go to Ole Miss, that wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have even went to that school, like the private school that he was going to, if it wasn't for the Toohey family getting him in there. So it's like different things like that. Or in the Jackie Robinson story, he only got into UCLA because he was the right kind of black. His coach didn't want anybody that wasn't clean cut and didn't have a B average. And yes, coaches these days want players that's clean cut and have a good GPA, but they wanted how can I say it? They wanted, one of those, I guess, whitewashed black guys to come to them and play for them. And even when he played for the Dodgers, his coach said he wasn't able to play if he was going to fight back the oppression, fight back everything that people were saying to him. If he was going to be a black guy, he wasn't going to play for him. So Jackie Robinson had to hold everything in and be what the white coaches wanted him to be so he can make it further in life. So that's why I feel like in those two movies, the American Dream was only like they were only able to get to the American Dream in those movies because it was facilitated by white America. So I say my questions are, is the American Dream a real thing? I personally don't think it is a real thing. I think people have dreams and people follow their dreams, and sometimes those dreams don't like pan out like the way they want to. But sometimes it does. So I don't think it should be an American dream. I think it's just people dreaming, because people can dream everywhere. People just call it the American dream because I guess it's an abundance of success stories here in white America. My second question was, are you a failure if you aren't able to achieve your American dream? And like I said, me, I don't see myself as a failure. I wanted to go to the NFL. Things were in place for me to go, but COVID happened, so wasn't able to go. So I don't think I'm a failure because this happened. I feel like it's just pushing me to do something else, something that God may have had else planned for me. I think it gives me an opportunity to get another degree from an amazing university. So I don't see myself as a failure. I see myself as making the best of the opportunity at hand. And knowing the statistics on athletes and their very slim chance of going pro, what would you tell a child that has a dream of playing a professional sport, knowing the statistics? I say I would tell them, go for it, because you don't know if you're the next LeBron James. You don't know if you're the next Michael Jordan. You don't know if you're the next Kobe Bryant. I feel like everybody should follow their dreams and do what they want to do. And like myself, if that dream doesn't, take hold or come true, then you do something else. You go hard at something else, but follow your plan A until the wheels fall off. Thank you.